Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's On the Sofa. We're very pleased to say that we've got Gary Alexander with us, and we will bring Gary on shortly. Let's just bring Vic on. Hello.
Hello, Chris. Very good evening to you. And I just wanted to hang on. I've got to turn around here and do something gymnastic for once.
Good.
I was given this by my daughter for Christmas, which is all very nice. So
very nice.
Her partner's an Arsenal fan, which makes it even doubly. It's got, makes me doubly grateful that she got that for me. So thank you very much. So I'll put that back. And talking to Wembley, we'll be talking to one of the people who scored one of the greatest goals at the new Wembley that it's seen in a little while. So, thank you, Emma. Hope all is well. There we are.
Okay, so what have we got? We got women drew 2 each on Sunday at home, and don't think the youths have started that back yet, have they, after the new year? So they'll probably back belly this weekend. And you've got some SAS news.
I do. There are a limited number of seats left for the second coach for Newport. Now, you'll know that we're at Newport on a Friday night. That's the 24th of January. I think that's our next away game, if I'm right in saying that.
Yeah.
It leaves the county ground at 4:30 on that Friday afternoon. Members are £16, non-members are £18, and the Carlisle seats will be available from tomorrow in the club shop. Now, if you're going to go to Carlisle, it leaves West Swindon on that day, which I think is the 1st of February. I stand to be corrected, but I think it is, at 6:30 a.m. and the county ground at 7 a.m. Members £39, non-members £41. And we've been asked to remind people to book as soon as possible, as they had requests for Notts County, enough to run a second coach, but it was too late to book it and organise it. So if you want to get to either Newport or to Carlisle on the SAS Travel, please get in touch with them as soon as possible. Of course, you can do that via the club shop Monday to Friday. So that's the SAS Travel news for today.
I think it's, isn't it Tuesday, Thursday and Friday they're open?
Yeah, okay, yeah, because Monday's gone. Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
I don't think they're open on the Monday and Wednesday.
No.
Okay, so we're going to bring Gary on, and then I will leave you. So, hi, Gary.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
You okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you yourselves.
Yep.
Yes, all good. Thank you very much for joining us. I will leave you. If anybody has any questions or comments, please leave them on the comments box, and I will see you later.
Thanks, Chris. Gary, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And I know you're getting over flu, so we're doubly grateful for you to do that. Has it been? Has it been bad, or have you got over it? How's you been?
Probably 3 or 4 days in bed, just taking tablets and just resting up, just bunged up really, and just feel energyless. But it's coming back now, so I've just had a decent meal, which is good, and hopefully get back on my feet in the next couple of days.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It leaves you a bit listless, doesn't it? You don't want to do anything, basically.
No, that's it, exactly. It knocks it out of you a little bit, but I've just rested up, and it's not ideal because I'm currently training for the marathon, so it's a little bit of a setback. But obviously, I've got to get over this before I start training again.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because it's not the first time you've done the London Marathon, is it?
No, I've done it in 2021. I've done it 2022. Sorry, the first one out of COVID. I've done it for the children, the Evelina Children's Hospital. This time, I'm doing it for pancreatic cancer. So, looking forward to it. Obviously, I enjoy running. It's good for the mind, and really looking forward to it. I loved the first one I've done, and obviously, I wanted to do another one. But having raised a lot of money first time round, I didn't want to go asking people for money 6 months later in April again. So I've left it a couple of years and come back, and we go again.
Yeah. So, what sort of time do you aim for? What's your best time?
Under 4.
Oh, very good. Yeah, excellent. And where are you up to before flu, as it were?
So I've been doing halves. I've done a couple of halves in the last few weeks. Done a couple of halves and that, and I've been 10s, 15s. But obviously January start upping it. January, Feb start upping it a little bit, and then obviously March, couple of long ones, and then tame it down sort of towards early April, and just keep ticking over, ready for the 27th of April.
Another big event recently, the darts. Did you get along to that?
I did. I go a few times every year. I'm lucky. Also become good friends with the guy Matty Porter at Leighton Orient. He was the CEO then, and he now works at Matchroom and runs it. So I'm quite lucky in that aspect that I can get tickets for that. So yeah, I went 2 or 3 times this year. I went to the semi-finals, the quarterfinals, and I was there just before Christmas as well. So yeah, it was pretty good. But then I got struck down by flu, so the final was a no-go.
Yeah, 17-year-old, world champion, not bad, is it?
Amazing. But the standard's so high now. But it just shows how good he is, because the standard, like there's that many players, what unbelievable now, is just shows how good he really is.
Now, as a 17-year-old, I guess you're at West Ham. Is that right?
I was correct. I've just gone there. Yeah.
So how did that come about?
I was playing Sunday League football, cup final, 16, 17, sort of in my last year at school, debating what to do, where to go. Obviously, you have a dream of being a footballer, but didn't think it was going to happen. And I happened to score a hat-trick in a cup final, got asked to go on trial. Went on trial to West Ham, and they offered me a scholarship after the game I'd played.
Were there other options for you apart from football? Did you have anything else lined up? What were your plans for the future?
To be fair, I was never that academic, so I was just a case of I wanted to get out of school and get to work. And my dad had been a long-distance post office driver for many years, and I was probably just going to, I was signed up, I'd filled out the forms and everything to sort of join the post office and go from there and see where life would take you. But I got that opportunity and I'll never look back.
I was going to say, you've had a decent career, which we'll really get into in a minute. But how was it at West Ham at the time? What sort of competition did you face?
Oh, well, tough competition. Obviously, had an amazing youth team. Players above, obviously, we had sort of in our youth team, was lucky enough to sort of Carrick, Cole were playing up with us. Richard Garcia, Grant McCann, plenty of names in there. And then obviously above us, you had Rio Franks, Manny, Omayimi, Lee Hodges, some tremendous players. And in the first team, Paolo Di Canio, John Hartson, Kitson, Trevor Sinclair. So it wasn't easy.
I was going to say Michael Carrick, of course, who spent time on loan at Swindon Town in the early part of his career. So what made the decision then to go out on loan? Because that's really what kick-started your career, wasn't it? Yeah,
I think I was playing in a reserve game at the Jose many years ago at the baseball ground against Derby for West Ham in a reserve game. I got home that night and the phone rang, and it was the manager, the reserve team manager, and he said there's an opportunity to go on loan. You'll have to leave tomorrow morning. And I was like, yeah, let's pack my bag, let's get gone. And I was on my way to exit the next morning. Mum was a bit shocked, but it was a case of let's go. So yeah, and then I think I signed a month, and then they wanted to extend it, and then we extended it for the season.
Good season for you though, wasn't it? You were player of the season that year.
Yeah, it was obviously it was a new experience. It was new to, obviously it's something I've always wanted to do. As I said to you, it was either get a job. Lucky enough, I got the opportunity to become a footballer, but that opportunity came, and it was something I wasn't going to turn down. You know, you sit at home on a Saturday afternoon watching teletext in them days with your dad and seeing who scores the goals, and you want to be part of that. And to have that opportunity to do that, it was something I was never going to say no to. So to go and play men's football in the actual football league was amazing for myself.
16 goals in 37 league appearances, I think it was. And what was it like when you got your first professional goal in the big time, as it were, in the big league? Not obviously the top league, but men's football, as you rightly said.
Yeah, I think it came 2 or 3 games in. I think it was against Mansfield. I remember getting slipped through, keeper come out, and I just slotted it under his legs, and I was off and running. So it's obviously nice to get that first goal, and didn't take too long, which is what you want, because I've been at clubs where it's taken a lot longer to get off the mark than it did there. But obviously, it was nice to get that first goal, knowing you can score at that level, and kicked on from there.
And I think you were warmly received by the Exeter fans, weren't you? They took to you, as it were.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. As I said, it was a tough season. We was never expected to achieve too much, I don't think. We was battling relegation. We didn't go down, thank God. So we survived, and lucky enough, I scored plenty of goals in an almost struggling team.
That, of course, led to a move to the county ground. How did that come about?
Again, we just spoke about the players that were in front of myself. I went back to West Ham. Sorry, I'm just about to cough.
No worries, you carry on. Obviously, the flu has taken its toll, but that's fine, no problem.
It went back. Obviously, the players we just spoke about, your Hartsons, your Kitsons, Di Canios, Sinclair. Some great players. What have been great Premier League players. So it was always going to be tough. Made the bench a couple of times. Harry put me on the bench a couple of times. Unfortunately, it didn't come on. But it was a case of, look, it was always going to be tough. They was on long contracts. It was all playing. And, you know, for somebody to break in at my age was always going to be tough. And how long did I want to sit there and wait? You know, I want to play football games. I want to play as many games as possible. So I had the chat and was told if the right offer came in that they would let me go. And then a few days, maybe weeks later, I got called in and said that there'd been a bid. And was I interested? And I said, of course I'm interested. I just want to play games. I want to play football, you know, and see what happens.
300,000 it was that took you there to the county ground. I think it was Colin Todd who signed you. And this was a time of optimism, I think, at Swindon, because if I remember rightly, Terry Brady was chairman. So it was a time of when there was a bit of optimism going about. And you had the best possible start, but you didn't have the best possible start. Take us through that first 2 minutes against Colchester.
Yeah, I think we got a corner, and I remember it coming in. I can't remember who was marking. It was quite a big name, actually. Was it? I'm trying to think the guy's name. He had a good career, I know that, and he was a little bit older than myself. But I remember getting away from him and heading it in and running off celebrating just to see that it'd been disallowed for a foul. And I don't know how and how things could be so different. You know, like if you get off to scoring after 2 minutes on your debut, it's a dream start, isn't it? But he disallowed it. I don't know what for to this day, but obviously it didn't count, and you know things didn't go to plan.
Yeah, I was in the Nationwide stand, which is now the Don Rogers stand, and none of us could understand why it was disallowed either, because it seemed a perfectly good header from a corner. And as you said, it would have been a dream start. You know, big money side striker comes in, gets the goal in his debut, doesn't get a lot better than that.
No, 100%. That's all you can dream for, and that's all you want, as I said, to get off the mark and have him move for a large amount of money back in them days. It's what you want, and you want to take that little bit of pressure off yourself.
It was a 0-0 draw in the end, if I remember rightly, as well, which is even more frustrating, I guess.
It was Colchester, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it took a little while for you to get your first goal. I think it was against Wigan at home. And then you did the knee slide in front of the aforementioned Nationwide stand. How did that feeling go down with you?
Now, again, obviously, you just love scoring goals, so you want to score goals. But as you said, it would have been nice for the one against Colchester to count it and been off the mark after 2 minutes. But took a little bit longer than I'd wanted. But to get your first goal is always nice for your new club.
How frustrating is that period when you can't quite get the goal? It just doesn't come.
Like any striker, you see it, it's a little bit of confidence there, but you know, it's only you can breed that confidence. Only you can bring that confidence back. It's no one else can give you that confidence. You know you're capable of scoring goals, and you just hope when that next chance comes along, you take it. If it doesn't, you know it's not going to be your last chance, because it's what you do. You get in them positions, so you just got to hope that you put it in the back of the net.
What was Swindon like in those days as a team? Because it was quite a good squad, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was some older heads in there, some younger heads, some good players, some players that have been around, you know, like, so you had the likes of Alan Reeves, who'd been at Wimbledon, Grazioli, Danny Invincible. There was all good lads, and Steve Mildenhall, Sol Davis. Yeah, there was some good players who went on to have good careers, or who had good careers even, like, as I said, Alan Reeves, people like that. So yeah, there was a good squad there, good bunch of lads.
So were you surprised that the team didn't really go higher than it did? I mean, it was a bit of a struggle throughout the season, wasn't it?
Yes, the Football League's a tough league, isn't it? You never know. You could, as I said, you could be a team battling relegation, and then the following season you could challenge. I've been in teams that have done that, and we've probably seen it with Swindon itself. You know, like the season Millwall beat Swindon in the playoff final. You know, the following season Millwall went up and Swindon struggled. You know, like it's one of them. So it's all about rebounding, and you know, it's the moment, I suppose it is. You know, and the time. It's a tough league, and anything can happen within them leagues. You get that winning feeling and that run going, and you can achieve anything.
There was an important goal I think you scored at Northampton, and what, you know, victories at the time don't seem that important, although they are important. But actually, wins like that are crucial when it came to the end of that season.
Yeah, no, definitely. As I said, you want to win as many games as possible. But as you said, if teams are in and around you, you've got to make sure you pick up them points. And as I said, that's the last thing in your mind is getting relegated. So lucky enough for me, I went through my whole career and never got relegated. So that was one achievement.
Colin Todd, of course, was manager, but then he decides to go to Derby. Andy King takes over. When you transfer from one manager to another, what difference does that make?
No, look, everyone has their own way. Everyone has their own style. I know Kingy was obviously Toddy's assistant, but obviously when he becomes the manager, he becomes a different person, doesn't he? He's not quite the assistant, whereas you have to treat him with the respect of the manager, whereas his assistant has probably got a different role to play. You know, he's got to try and befriend us as players, keep us on side, as well as being the eyes for the manager. But then when you become the manager, he needs to bring somebody in like that. So it's different roles. But Kingy was a great lad. God bless him. I know he's not with us anymore, but he was a fantastic bloke I got on really, really well with.
Did you have any idea about financial problems at the club? I mean, there always seems to be financial problems at Swindon, but this was another time, and it led to your eventual departure. Did you have any idea of them at the time?
I did, because I was surprised that obviously I was told I was on the move, and I was like, really? And obviously I was so-called asset at the time. I'd just been bought for 300 grand not too long ago, you know. So obviously I still had a price tag on my head, and someone had come up to me and said, look, I think you might be on the move. And I was like, why is that? And the club couldn't afford to pay the 300,000, or they couldn't afford to pay something. And Hull City had come in, and I was like, it's football, isn't it? At the end of the day, I just want to play football. It's what goes on behind the scenes goes on behind the scenes. We just try and concentrate on our football. But I was sort of told that there was a few financial problems and that I could be on the move. And then the Hull City move came about.
So do you have much say in that? I mean, could you have dug your heels and said no? Or is it a case of they make an offer, you want to play football, you go?
To be honest, if I'm being honest, I suppose you could, but then it could lead to, you could end up not getting paid for X amount of time or anything like that, I'm not that type of person anyway. I just want to play football, and I don't want to sit on the bench, and I don't want to not play, or for whatever reasons, because of money, you can't play because you earn this amount of money and stuff like that. I want to be playing football, and the opportunity come, and if it helps the club, then so be it. I've got to get on my way, and it was a long move up north, but one I enjoyed.
Yeah, I was going to say, now let's talk about, people talk about the Danny Invincible goal against Peterborough, but sometimes people forget that you got the first in that game.
It's so long ago, I couldn't even remember.
Well, it was against Peterborough. Danny Invincible scored a crucial goal, which won the match right at the end, and effectively kept Swindon up, because had he not scored that, you stayed up by 1 point. So it was pretty crucial that you won that game.
Yeah. There you go. See, it's something I can't remember. It's that many years ago, I try and remember everything, but like in terms of football and goals and things like that, but I certainly can't remember that. And I didn't realise we only survived by 1 point, so happy days.
Because Bristol Rovers had 2 games in hand, and they had to play them after you'd finished, and they lost both. So it's pretty kind of them, really, to do that. So you're on your way to Hull after a season at Swindon. How would you describe your time at the county ground? Indifferent, I suppose. Like, as I said, it could have been so different had that first goal gone in after 2 minutes, and you're absolutely flying. But it was a strange season. I'd want to come there and I want to score 20 goals, as I'd gone to Exeter and scored 16, 17 goals in 35, 36 appearances. I wanted to do similar stuff, but it wasn't to be. And as I said, it could have been so different had that goal gone in and change things, but everything happens for a reason, and it didn't happen. And I think I ended up with something like 9 goals, which is obviously disappointing from myself, and to have such a price tag. But again, it's a shame I didn't get chance really to prove what I was capable of in terms of scoring goals. The following season, I was obviously on the move through no fault of my own. Does a big price tag weigh heavily on a player, or do you not think about it whilst you're playing?
To be honest, I don't really think about it. I didn't really think about it. I was worth nothing probably 2 years before that, because I was playing Sunday League football, so it was a case of and now I'm worth something. But it doesn't, price tag doesn't play on it. You just have to believe in your ability and believe you can score goals. And I believed I could score goals. Obviously, the tally I got at Swindon, I'll be disappointed with, and I was disappointed with, but I proved that I could go on and score 20 goals in seasons and 15 goals in seasons as a target man.
I was going to say, at Hull, you did okay, didn't you? Player of the season again up there?
Yeah, I won a few player of the seasons over my career, so as I said, I can't complain. And there's no complaints from me in terms of the career I've had. I've got no regrets. I enjoyed every moment of it, and if I could relive it, I would.
What's it like moving? Because you're obviously from London, and then you're going off to Hull. How different is that? The change in lifestyle, was it different? Did you settle in easily?
Yeah, I bought a house up in a little village up there. I was lucky I had parents that followed me all over the country, and my dad moved up and would stay up sometimes during the week, stay out for a week at a time, and that, and make sure I was settled in. And I got myself a dog and got right settled in, and I settled in really well. The people at Hull were fantastic. As I said, they're football fanatics, so obviously things are going well. You're loved, aren't you? And I had good times. I think I spent 2 years up there, and then I came home because I had a son. I had a son, and we'd split up, and it wasn't easy to see the boys, so I needed to get back, and that's obviously when I moved back to Leyton Orient.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We don't often think of that side of a footballer's career, do we? We just see them on a Saturday afternoon play football, but you have lives as well, don't you? You're a human being, for goodness sake.
No, exactly that. Yeah, I had a son, and he was born, and obviously I was living in Hull. My girlfriend at the time she was in Swindon with me for a while, but she was a London girl, stayed in London, and things become a little bit difficult. So it was a case of, I'm up in Hull, am I ever going to see my boy or not, or am I going to go periods without seeing him? And it was a case of that I needed to get away and get back to London, because my football was going. My football wasn't great after Christmas, after we'd split up, and I wasn't in the form I was in, and so it was something had to change, and I needed to get back home and be near my son. That's when I moved back to London.
Leyton Orient was a good move for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a London-based club, decent club, that have a good reputation, obviously a good link with West Ham, and that they have quite a few players go there at some point in their career, and I enjoyed a good 4.5 years there. Obviously under Lingy, who played for Swindon, and had good times at Swindon. So yeah.
Yeah, how was Martin Lingy? Because obviously he had his problems, didn't he? And obviously we wish him well. We saw him recently when they brought Premier League players back to the club, and he looked very well. He had a brief spell as manager of Swindon. How was he as a manager?
Yeah, Lingy was a good manager. We had Lingy with Dean Smith, and they worked really well together. He let us basically run the dressing room. Had a couple of senior players in there. I say senior, I was only 23, 24, but I played a lot of games by then, and he let us run the changing room, and we managed it well. He did all the coaching, did everything, but we run the changing room, and it worked really well, and we had successful times.
How is it at a club like Leyton Orient? Because they're in the shadow of all the biggies, aren't they? That, like might say West Ham, all the London clubs are there, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, they're all there. And yet they have this very devoted fan base.
Yeah, as I said, they've got good support. They take their away allocation most weeks, and at home there's 6,000-7,000 there at home, and they're loyal. And if you're doing well, like any club, if you're doing well, they get right behind you, and the crowds go up. But yeah, like you said, they've got 5,000-6,000 loyal fans that go most places with them, and it's a good family club.
So eventually you do leave Leyton Orient. You end up at Millwall. Now I did watch that goal this afternoon at Wembley, which was a bonkers goal, really. I mean, how many of those have you scored in your career? We'll describe it in a minute, but how many of those have you scored, would you say?
That one.
Yeah. I mean, it's extraordinary. What were your thoughts when it happened? How did it work? Describe it to us.
Look, again, that's just a dream come true, isn't it? We set out to be professional footballers, and then there's another dream to play at your national stadium, So on the day, obviously first time going to Wembley, pretty nervous. Obviously big crowd. I think there was 60,000-70,000 there, big crowd. And you just hope everything goes well. Had it been a normal league game, to be honest, I probably wouldn't have played, because I was ill that day. I had an operation on my ear the following morning. I was tablets galore. My knee wasn't great, but I think the adrenaline allowed me through that game and got me into that game, and of knowing it was an opportunity to play at Wembley, and I think the ball come in, Zach headed it back into play from a throw in down the line, and I've chested it, and it sat up nice, and just thought, why not hit this? And I've hit it, and I don't think I could have caught it any cleaner.
It went into the top corner. Keeper tried to stop it, but it went over his head. And I mean, it must be a fabulous feeling when that happens.
Yeah, as I said, it's what we do as kids. You used to play a game called Wembley in the Park, didn't you? Like you're playing playing a game, and you play as kids, and actually to play there, to score there is a dream come true, and I've achieved that.
The downside of it, of course, is you didn't win, did you?
No, we got beat 3-2 in the end. I missed a sitter. I'd scored 2 that day, and then one come across, and the cross come in, and I've gone to head it, and Crosby's got a slight touch on it, and it's just changed the direction of the ball. And I've almost headed the ball too well, and I've put it the wrong side of the post. If I'd have misheaded it in anywhere, it would have gone in. But I've headed it too well, and that would have put us 3-1 up, and maybe again things maybe have been different, but it wasn't to be. But as I said, I'd swap any goal for a win, but it wasn't to be that day. But now my career's over, I can look back and say yes, I did score that goal. So it is nice to be able to look back on that.
I was going to say it must have been a very weird feeling, because you got that goal, which is magnificent, and then you'd lost. So, obviously for the team point of view, you want the team to win, don't you? But you'll always have that memory. No,
100%. As I said at the time, it was disappointing. I think we went out and drowned our sorrows, devastation. But it was a difficult one, because I'd scored that goal. We'd obviously lost the game, so there was 2 different feelings. But now my career's over, I can look back and I can look back on fond memories and go, yes, I did score that goal. And people go, how can you not be so happy about that goal? As I said, I would swap that goal for promotion that day, but it wasn't to be. It's not going to happen. But I can look back now. Yes, I scored that goal, and that's not going to change. That's always going to be in the record books.
Well, I watched it 3 or 4 times, and it gets better every time, doesn't it? I mean, does it sort of get bigger? Is it sort of like 30 yards to begin with, then it's 40, then it's 50? I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? Extraordinary.
Yes, as I said, I get reminded of it all the time. People always remind me of it. Did you mean it? Was it a cross? And ask me questions on it. But as I said, I've done it. It's a spur of the moment thing. It's a striker's instinct. If you don't shoot, you don't score. On another day, that might have gone in Rosed, and you can imagine what 50,000 Millwall fans would say if it had gone into Rosed. Some of the hand signals would have been quite interesting.
Millwall did go back to Wembley, of course, for another playoff final against Swindon Town. You were on the bench that day, along with a certain John Obika. What are your memories of that one?
To be honest, I was only too happy to make the bench. I'd been out most of the season. I'd had a heel problem, so I'd missed most of the season. I'd got back late on in the season, and it was touch and go if I'd make the bench. Kenny put me on the bench, which I'll always be grateful for. And then obviously, I think I stood on the sideline for about 6 or 7 minutes at the end. The ball didn't go out of play, and I didn't manage to get on. But obviously, I can remember Robbo scoring the goal. The centre forward for Swindon, what's his name? Charlie. Is it Charlie? Charlie Austin. Charlie Austin went through 1-on-1, and it bobbled up, and he put it over the bar, didn't he? And again, that's people look back on that and go, if he'd have scored that, but that's football, that's life, and it was our day.
It wasn't the greatest of games, but of course you went up. So I guess, contrary to the feeling against Scunthorpe, you got promotion. You're on the bench, but you've got promotion.
No, exactly that. It's a case that's what we're saying about the bounce back. Obviously, we've seen teams. I think the following season, Swindon struggled a little bit, didn't they, after that playoff final? So for that Millwall squad, it was a credit to the squad that we was in there, that we'd lost the season before, but managed to keep our sort of selves together and push for promotion again the following season. Whereas sometimes you can get that little bit of fallback, and you struggle, as I just said. Swindon did after that playoff final. I think Swindon struggled the following season.
They did, yeah. What do you feel when you come up against a former club? Because you've had a few. So, what are your thoughts when you come up against a former team? Is it just a case of another game?
Yeah, it's just another game. It's one of them. You have memories of them clubs. You're always going to get haters. You're always going to get lovers. But it's just another day. It's another game. It's a job at the end of the day, and you've got to go there and work for the team you're playing for. So it's one of them. It's all fun. And as I said, I look out for every club I played for. So I quite like playing against my old clubs. I've got a pretty good record against a few of them. Yeah,
I was going to say, you did move around quite a lot. Any reason for that, or just you get restless? How does it work?
No, again, I think I moved quite a bit towards the end of my career. I was out on loan and things like that. And again, sometimes it falls down to a little bit of money and stuff like that. Like they don't want to pay your wages. They want to. You need to go out on loan and you're not playing. But I don't want to sit around and not play. Like I earn half decent money. I don't want to not play and just sit there and he just sits there, takes his money. I want to play. So if I'm not playing, I'm going to ask the question. If I'm not playing after a few weeks, I'm going to as you said, get a little bit restless there. I want to be playing, and I know there's somebody where I could be playing, so I want to play.
Yeah, Crawley, amongst them, Burton Albion, I think you went to. How is it? You go through that little spell and you're moving to a lot of clubs. How easy is that upping sticks and just going?
To be fair, that was at the end of the career. I knew when I went to Burton, it'd probably be the last bit. I was at Crawley at the time. To be fair, it would have been ideal for me to move to AFC Wimbledon, but they couldn't afford my wages at the time, so I couldn't move there on a full time deal. And then Burton Albion obviously came in to take me on loan till the end of the season, or sign me till the end of the season. And then I just opted for that. But I knew that my time was coming to an end, and I knew the time was right. I think I was 34 at the time, and I thought, you know what, it's time to call it a day and spend some time with the family.
When do you know? When is the moment you realise that maybe that's it? Because you did dip your toe in the managerial ranks, didn't you, at Crawley? I think for a little while. But when is the moment when you think, do you know what, that's it?
I look back now and I think probably did I go too early? I probably did go too early, but you know, it's one of them. I've got 4 children, so it's never easy. And like we spoke about, Christmas times, New Year's times, you're up and you're gone. And as you said, I could be indoors 1 minute and be on the move the next. You know, like, so it's not easy. And I had 4 young children at the time, and I just thought, you know what, now's the time to maybe call it a day and stop trying to chase a career which coming to an end, and I can just play non-league and go and get a job. And that's what I did. And
you did have a little time as a manager or a coach, didn't you? Did you ever fancy that long term?
To be honest, I was interim at Crawley for one game only, knowing that nothing was ever going to go any further from that. And when I retired, I was given a chance to play non-league football. I got offered to play non-league. I joined the non-league club, then got offered the chance to manage. I managed that for a good few years, but managing non-league's tough. We done well, but unfortunately, God bless him, the chairman passed away. And then, like you see it in non-league every year. You know, you get teams that have money, they're paying this, they're paying that, and they're flying, and all of a sudden it's gone. So it's a difficult gig, and it's not going to pay for your lifestyle. So it's not something that was really had it have gone on, maybe, you know, but it wasn't something in the end. If I'm honest, I think in 2021 I sort of lost the desire for football when my dad passed away. It was one of them. He'd been everywhere with me. He'd been to every game. He was at most non-league games I attended, I played in, I managed. He was at every game, you know. And then when he passed away, I just thought, have I got the heart for this? And I hadn't. Do I miss it? Yeah, I do. But you know, it's not going to pay the wages playing non-league football or managing non-league football. So it's time to move on and get a different career.
Yeah, we'll talk about what you're going to do in a minute. But obviously, you went through a very difficult time during COVID with your dad's passing, as many people did. I mean, that must have been a really horrible time. And there's still a bit of it in there, isn't there? There's still a bit. I get the feeling that, you know, it was a very sad time for you.
Oh no, definitely. It's 2021 Christmas. I see him the day after. So I saw him on Boxing Day. Couldn't go in the house. Obviously, my mum and dad took real care of themselves, and that was the last time I saw my dad. He was taken into hospital the next day, and we never see him again. And he died on February the 6th, 2021, which was obviously devastating for us all. But not to be able to be with him or see him really hurt.
Yeah, sure. I think sometimes now with the benefit of distance, we kind of forget how terrible that time was. But I guess for families like yours, you're always going to remember it.
Yeah, no, as I said, it's tough times. You know, I've got great memories. As I said, it's my whole football career. My dad followed me because he had a heart attack when I was just about to join West Ham. Lucky survived, about to retire. So he was able to come and watch. Literally, he watched just about every game. The only reason he wouldn't be there if he couldn't get there, but he was at every game. I could be at Carlisle on a Tuesday night. I'd look up in the stand and my dad would be there, and my mum would be there, both supporting me. You know, like, and obviously when he passed, I just thought, you know what, that time's now. Just leave it now. It's done. I've got great memories, and it's something that I didn't continue with after 2021.
So do you get to football now? Do you go to football at all?
I do. I do. My boy, I've got my eldest son. He's at Eastbourne Borough at the moment in the Conference South playing. So I get down to watch him. He's been at Millwall, Bromley. He's at Eastbourne Borough currently, so I get to watch him. I've got 2 young sons. One's at Charlton. One was at Charlton, but he quit to play a bit of golf and be a 17-year-old. And I've got a daughter. But yeah, I go to Millwall as much as I can because I'm not far up the road, and a lot of my friends are Millwall fans as well. So we try and get along to there as much as we can.
It must be difficult once you've been a professional footballer. Are you a good watcher? Do you see what I mean? Because I used to be working radio and do football matches, and so it's difficult then just to go and watch a game. As a footballer, are you a difficult watcher?
No, probably not. No, I'm probably a fan, to be honest. I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff you hear people saying that, and you're like, oh, really? Have you just said that? And it's difficult to bite. You have to bite your tongue sometimes. But I try and go along and just enjoy it and support the team I support, and just have a day out watching football. I enjoy watching football. I watch football if it's on the telly. I enjoy going, and it's just obviously it's difficult sometimes having played, and you've heard some of the abuse that we take as players, and when I'm stood there and I'm listening, I don't agree with it. It's like, do I say something? Don't I say something? And I have to bite my tongue. But it's something I enjoy going to watch football. I still love the game. It's just not for me to be involved in.
You mentioned about the fans. I mean, how would you sum up your time at Swindon? Was it, not as good as you wanted it to be, clearly. And I always think of you, if that goal had counted after 2 minutes, you were up and running. You'd have got 20 goals that season easy because the confidence would have flown out of you. How would you sum up your time there?
As I said, look, I wish, again, like we spoke about earlier, financial problems led to me having to leave. I wish I could have probably shown the Swindon fans more that I was capable of. I think the following season I went and scored 20 plus goals before Christmas for Hull, so confidence was back. But as I said, it was short lived, and moving for 300 grand, you want to prove people that the price tag was right and things like that. And I don't think I ever got that opportunity to prove that I was worth that money to them. But that was obviously a disappointment. But I moved on, and as I said, I went and scored goals everywhere else I went. So there's no doubt I wouldn't have scored goals. I would have scored goals for Swindon as well.
What did you do once you left football? What was your career then?
I had a little bit of time out. I joined non-league, played a little bit of non-league. I got a few friends with businesses, so I helped them out with their businesses. One's got scrap metal dealership, one's got a carpet business. So I joined both of them at different stages. And then I moved into the car world and started, I was a head of sales for Stratstone. BYD, new electric car brand in the UK. It's been in probably a few years now. I left there probably 7 months ago. And I'm just currently setting up a chauffeur business now with a friend. So an executive chauffeur business. So that should be up and running within the next month or two.
What sort of market are you aiming for when you say executive?
So we've got, as I said, I know plenty of football agents. We've got plenty of people sort of in the acting world, the music world, industry, things like that, big companies and stuff like that. But we want to keep it exec and keep it nice, so we're able to control it. We don't want to be out of control where we don't know who's working for who and who's going where, and so we want to make it exclusive.
You mentioned the electric car market. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Because there's all sorts of talk. We all sort of ought to get an electric car and all that kind of stuff. The infrastructure, as you're well aware, in some places means that we can't. What's your view on getting electric cars sorted by 2030? Is that going to happen?
If I'm honest, I don't sell them anymore, so I can't see it. I used to say yes, but I don't sell them anymore. But I think it's going to be a struggle, to be honest. It's difficult. I think unless you think how many tower blocks are in London and things like that, like you've got to have a drive to be able to have your own charger. Tower block, they put them on the side of the road. The cost is so expensive to charge on the side of the road or in a garage, like it's more than a litre of diesel, it's more than a litre of petrol. Per kilowatt, it becomes 75p a kilowatt. So you're still charging, it's costing you to fill that car up more than it would to fill a full tank of diesel. Whereas if you can have one on your drive, yes, it will only cost you 10-15 quid because you can have the right tariff. But if you can't have one on your drive, then look, I can't see it. And where are they going to put all these electric chargers up? I don't know.
Interesting thought. So, because obviously we're all told to get an electric car, but I live in a cottage where there's no drive. So, what do I do? It's as simple as that, really, isn't it?
No, exactly that. Obviously, it's different when you're trying to sell it. You have to sort of try and sell it. But if I'm honest, would I, having had one, when I've tried to charge it, I've gone to chargers and I'm unable to. The charger's broke, or there's somebody sitting on the charger. Where'd you go? Where'd you go from there? And so I think it's, yes, if you can afford to have a charger on your drive and you're lucky enough to have a drive where you can have a charger, then great. It'd be a hell of a lot cheaper. But if you haven't, then it could be a struggle. As I said, if you run low, you could struggle. The price, obviously, if you're charging on the side of the road, is astronomical per kilowatt. So it's a little bit indifferent at the minute, but I can't see it all being electric by 2030. No.
Interesting. How did you find the transition from being a footballer then? Because you know, 1 minute you're doing all the, training, playing. You have to be careful of your diet, all that kind of thing. Once you've finished, you suddenly go, do you know what? I fancy fish and chips. How does that change?
Yeah, it's happened to me a few times. I've gone through a few phases, but I'm finally in the zone now where I've got myself fit again. But it's difficult because, as you said, when you're watching your diet, you can't eat certain stuff, and all of a sudden you can. It's there. You take it. I 6 months ago I was nearly 16 stone. And I just thought, I looked at myself one day and thought, no, hang on, I've not been in this shape in my whole life. What am I doing? And I've managed to get it off, and I've got my focus of running the marathon again now. So I'm back. I'm probably lighter now than when I was at Swindon.
Right.
But it's quite easy just to, just a hamburger. Yeah, I have one of them and things like that. But I'm back in the zone now where I'm eating properly. I'm being healthy. I'm training, which is much better for my lifestyle and much better for my health.
Yeah, with the marathon, you can't mess about, can you? I don't think you can. A lot of people think you can just turn up the day before and run it, but you can't. You got to do the stuff, haven't you?
No, that's it. Yes, as I said, it's the greatest thing I've ever done. It's the best thing, best feeling, and I can't wait to run it again. But it's just, I've got to take it seriously. But after the last one I run, I stopped training again after the last one I've done, and I ballooned up, and it's not good. It's not nice when your buttons are popping off your jeans and things like that. It doesn't make you feel good. Whereas this time round, I intend to carry on training and stay fit and healthy, just for my own, as I said, for my own mental health.
Many of us know that feeling of the buttons popping off our jeans, I can tell you, especially after the last 2-3 weeks. I think, that's the thing, isn't it? Right. Andy said, what does Gary remember from his time at Ashford, which is Andy's local club?
Ashford, my time at Ashford, things were going well. Obviously, was chasing promotion, and the biggest memory of that is getting sacked via a text after winning 4-0 and moving to second in the table, I believe. But yeah, so I had good times, great fans, Ashford, made some good friends there, but disappointing ending.
So how did that come about then? How did you get the sack via text when you're doing so well? Did you get a reason for that?
No reason. I won't comment too much about the chairman, but obviously me and him didn't really see eye to eye. And then I was sat in bed one night, I looked down at my phone and got a text and said your service is no longer required. So that was quite, that was a different way to get sacked. Very manly.
Yeah. Quite. You would have expected face to face, would you not?
Yeah, I certainly would have. It would have been nice.
Yeah. So, did that scar you at all, that experience, or did you just move on from it?
No, no, it didn't scar me at all. I moved on. I sort of laughed at it, and it just typifies non-league really, and typifies what some of the people you have to deal with. So it's now I'm out of it. I can look back and laugh and. Yeah, it didn't scar me one bit. It was quite quite funny actually. I rang my assistant. I said, "You do realise we don't have a job anymore?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I just got a text," and that was that. But it was good times, Ashford. As I said, a lot of good fans, good club. Just probably had the wrong person in charge at the time.
What do you think? Look back as the best spell of your career. I mean, obviously we talked about that goal. Which bit of it would you describe as the best?
The best times, obviously becoming a professional footballer, getting offered your first professional contract at 17. I'd left school, doing your scholarship, and then being offered a professional contract. That's obviously always nice. And then in terms of spells, I think I'd scored 20 before Christmas for Hull. I think any promotion for any club is, are all great times. And yeah, I couldn't pinpoint one where I go, yeah, I had a better time there to another time. I think any promotion we won was fantastic, and I think I won 3 or 4 promotions. But yeah, in terms of clubs, I think probably Hull, Millwall, Leyton Orient, I probably had my best times between them 3 clubs.
And was being a professional footballer all you ever dreamt? Did it match up to what you expected it to be?
Yeah, of course. As I said, I was a kid playing in the park from the age of 5, 6, whatever, playing in the park, and we all wanted to be professional footballers, and to get that opportunity, you leave school and you don't know what way you're going to turn. I'd left school before I'd even got offered my scholarship, so yeah, no, it lived up to everything, and I wouldn't change anything of what I'd done. Everything happens for a reason, and my career was my career.
And so this new business that you're going into, business is going through a tough time. How do you expect it to pan out? What are your expectations for it?
Well, it's not going to take off straight away. Obviously, we've got to grow it. We've got to work it. We've got to make sure, as I said, we run it in the right way to be able to stay in control. And hopefully, as I said, as time goes, we build it and it gets bigger and bigger, and we can give people the service they want.
Which is what? What would you describe it as? How would you describe it?
An executive, as I said, executive private customers, so obviously you see a lot of these chauffeur cars being driven around. So your footballers, your actors, your singers, and people like that, So we want to get into the right crowd, and we've been touching base with people and making contacts, and that. So hopefully, as I said, as time goes by, we can build it word of mouth. And I think that's a lot of business, isn't it? Word of mouth. If the service is good, people will spread the word and you can grow.
When you look at football these days, I mean, people have said about Erling Haaland being under pressure for not scoring goals. I mean, when you're not scoring, what goes through your mind? Because, he's got a couple at the weekend, I think, didn't he? So obviously the drought is over. But what goes through your mind?
The next chance. When's the next chance going to come along?
Yeah.
How soon? How easy? Like sometimes the easy ones can be the hard ones, can't they? Because you think, oh, here we go, I've got a tap in, and all of a sudden you put it over or put it wide, and it's, oh no, it's just tapping, and you just got to hope that next chance comes along sooner rather than later. Some games, as you know, you've seen it. Some games you can go and you can get one chance. Some games you might not get a chance. So you just got to hope that you take that chance when it comes along.
And do you feel pressure when you're not scoring?
Yeah, you probably put pressure on yourself, because that's your job, isn't it, to score goals, and it's what you want to do, it's what you love doing, so you want to score goals. And if you don't score, obviously you leave it up. You want your team to win, but it's nice when you score and win, but you want to score the goals that win the football matches.
This is from Richard. What's Gary's view of the state of lower league football right now? How does he see clubs surviving without big money investors such as the two at Wrexham? Is it inevitable that League One and League Two sides have to be selling clubs in order to stay afloat?
It's a difficult one. I know, obviously, I was listening to something the other day regarding the 3 o'clock kickoffs and that, and they're not putting them on telly for that reason, aren't they? To keep fans going to games and things like that. So I agree with that, because, as I said, your lower league clubs need their fans there to go and survive, to buy the burgers, to buy the beers, to buy the programs, So the longer that continues without them putting all these games on telly, so people don't have to go to the grounds, then the better, So hopefully it stays that way, and these smaller clubs can have their fans go, and they can continue as we are.
Yeah, because it's been said for many years, isn't it, that once one club goes, then a lot will follow. Luckily, we haven't seen many go to the wall. But I think, when we were talking about, the financial troubles at Swindon, we're talking about money now, big money, and unless you're getting people through the gate, I know TV money's in there as well, but unless you're getting people through the gate to support that money, it must be very difficult for football clubs to survive.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's disappointing as well. Obviously, I know that, obviously the top leagues have top teams have European fixtures. They have to travel here for fixtures, travel there. But I think it's disappointing, like when they've taken the FA Cup replays away and things like that, because that gave the smaller clubs their opportunity. Like go to Liverpool, go to Everton, get a draw, and then all of a sudden bring them back, or draw at your place and take them to their ground where you're going to get 50, 60,000, and that money can keep you going for 2 or 3 years. It's so that was disappointing when they took them away, obviously, and hopefully one day they might bring the replays back. But that's all down to the top clubs having so many fixtures in Europe and that, and they're worrying about the top clubs and the money up there. So it is sad to see, but hopefully one day they'll bring them back.
Because the one thing you want to do as a lower league player is put yourself against the best, don't you?
No, 100%, and 100%. You want to obviously play against the best, but there's nothing better than, you know, we done it at Exeter. We drew with Everton and then went and lost at Goodison Park in the 85th minute and got a standing ovation from 40,000 Everton fans. You know, like it's an amazing feeling. But it's not only that feeling; it's what it does for the club for the years to come. You know, with the revenue what comes in and sharing the gate with them at 40,000. You know, instead of having 8,000, you're getting 40,000, and you know, it's one of them. So yeah, it was disappointing when they took the replays away, because that was a big help for the smaller clubs, and that obviously keeps a lot afloat. But hopefully, as I said, hopefully that's something they can look into and maybe change in the future again to allow the smaller clubs to survive for a lot longer and for many years to come. Certainly while I'm on the earth.
Well, of course, Exeter also had that tie against Manchester United, didn't they? When, you know, they drew at Old Trafford, came back, and it saved the club, basically. As simple as that, really. Gary, I know you're not feeling very well, so we're going to sort of end it a little bit early, if that's okay with you, so you can recover your flu and get yourself back in shape so you can run the London Marathon. But we really appreciate your time this evening, especially when you're not feeling too well, so we're very grateful for you.
No worries at all. No, it's been a pleasure to come on.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Gary, and we wish you all the best in your new endeavours with your chauffeuring business. So
thank you. Okay. Appreciate that.
Brilliant.
And don't forget, if you're ever going to come to Swindon, let us know and we'll sort you some tickets out.
No, sounds good. Yeah, no, definitely. As I said, I will try and get down. I like to go back, pop and see my old clubs and that. So yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah, no, come on down, and you've got my WhatsApp now. So just if you're ever down this way, let us know. We can sort that out for you. So.
Perfect. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So thanks everybody for watching. We will be back next week with our Monday night panel after the game against Crewe. And I've just done some looking, and the Carlisle tickets do go on sale tomorrow morning. So if you've got 300 points, I think it is, you can get your tickets tomorrow morning. So they're on sale from 10. Okay, so we will see you next week. Have a good week. Hopefully 3 points on Saturday to start us off with our home wins, and we will see you soon.
And don't forget, I think Falls Rush In is on at 9 o'clock, I do believe. Is that right?
I believe so.
Yes.
Back this week, aren't they? They're back this week. So
yes.
Okay. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.